The sun was dipping low over the horizon when I pulled into my driveway in Willow Creek Meadows, a quiet little neighborhood nestled along the shores of Silver Lake, Tennessee. It was July 15th, 2024, and I'd just spent 2 weeks visiting my sister in Colorado, expecting to come back to the peace of my lakefront home. Instead, I was greeted by a scene straight out of a frat party gone wild. Strangers were sprawled across my lawn, grilling burgers, blasting music, and chucking water balloons at my windows. One guy even had the nerve to use my rose bushes as a public restroom. I'm 37, a retired electrician who spent 20 years untangling wires and climbing poles to earn this slice of paradise. Every penny of this property was soaked in sweat and late-night shifts, so to see it treated like a free-for-all amusement park, my blood was boiling. Here's the kicker. While I was gone, the HOA president, Victoria Langley, a 42-year-old queen bee with a smile as fake as her designer handbag, decided my private lakefront was now community property. No call, no email, no permission, just her royal decree. I'd bought this house for its secluded access to Silver Lake, a spot I dreamed of since I was a kid fishing with my dad. I'd triple-checked the deeds, had the land surveyed to the inch, and filed every document with the county to make sure my ownership was ironclad. So how did I end up with a neighborhood circus on my doorstep? Buckle up, because this story's about to get wild. Victoria wasn't just any HOA president. She was a master manipulator, dressed in tailored blouses and heels like she was running a Fortune 500 company instead of a suburban neighborhood. Her blonde hair was always perfect, her voice syrupy sweet, but her eyes? Cold as a snake's. She treated HOA meetings like her personal throne room, shutting down anyone who dared question her. While I was away, she'd struck like a thief in the night, announcing my lake access was now open to all for community unity. She even hired a crew to spruce up my land, trim my shrubs, spread fresh gravel, and planted a tacky sign that read Silver Lake Community Access in sloppy red paint. She posted photos online, tagging me like she was daring me to fight back. When I stepped out with my property deeds, expecting to clear things up, the crowd laughed in my face. Victoria said it's for everyone now, buddy. One guy sneered, pointing at her sign. A group of moms called me selfish, and a teenager started filming me, narrating like I was some grumpy villain. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. This wasn't just trespassing, it was a public robbery. I marched to the HOA office, a stuffy room Victoria had decked out with leather chairs our dues probably paid for. She greeted me with that venomous smile. "Oh, Daniel, you're back. Isn't it great how we're all coming together? You should share, everyone deserves the lake." She waved a petition with signatures I'd bet half were fake. When I told her she'd made a huge mistake, her smirk said she thought she'd already won. I wasn't about to roll over. I hired James Whitaker, a real estate lawyer with 30 years of shutting down HOA nonsense. James barely blinked as he reviewed my documents. "She's way out of line," he said, drafting a letter that hit like a sledgehammer, giving Victoria 7 days to back off or face a lawsuit. We thought that'd be enough, but Victoria wasn't just stubborn, she was unhinged. Instead of backing down, she called an emergency HOA meeting, live streaming it to paint me as the bad guy. She read James's letter like it was a stand-up comedy script, twisting my demand for my rights into an attack on community spirit. She even announced the HOA would hire lawyers to protect their shared lake access, threatening me with fines if I didn't play nice. The neighborhood split like a fault line. Some neighbors turned nasty, blasting music by my fence and tossing trash in my yard. Someone swapped my property markers for a crayon-scrawled sign reading "Community Approved." Victoria threw the biggest lake party yet on my land, smirking at me from across the water. But others started whispering, uneasy about her power grab. I knew I needed more than legal papers to win this war. I needed dirt. I spent nights digging through old HOA minutes, social media posts, and county records, looking for cracks in Victoria's perfect image. Strange expenses, shady land deals, things didn't add up. Then I met Eleanor Grayson, a 68-year-old widow who'd lived next to Victoria for years and had a bone to pick. Eleanor had been fined for planting unapproved roses, and she'd been watching Victoria like a hawk. Over coffee, she slid me a folder that was pure dynamite. Invoices for fake landscaping, legal fees that smelled like kickbacks, and 2 property maps. The old one showed my lakefront as mine. The new one, stamped after Victoria took over, carved out community access. She'd been rewriting history. Eleanor also tipped me off about Victoria's calls with a developer named Marcus Kane, a slick operator known for shady lakefront deals. Rumors swirled about a massive resort project that'd make millions if they could secure public lake access first. My land wasn't just a party spot. It was the key to a real estate scam. I wasn't fighting for a backyard anymore. I was up against a criminal empire. I decided to hit Victoria where it hurt. James greenlit my plan. A 6-foot cedar fence, painted jet black, built exactly on my legal property line. I added a polished brass sign. Private land. Want lake access? Ask Queen Victoria. For kicks, I threw in a fake security camera with a blinking red light. The crew finished it in a day while Victoria was off at some fancy retreat. When she came back, she lost it, screaming and shaking the gate like a wild animal. I watched from my porch, sipping iced tea, as she ranted at my fake camera. Her voicemails were gold threats to sue, fine, and banish me, each one crazier than the last. The fence flipped the script. Some neighbors griped about losing their free beach, but others, like Eleanor, gave me quiet nods of respect. Victoria called another HOA meeting, a desperate bid to crush me. She ranted about my assault on community values, proposing a new rule to tear down my fence with a $100,000 fine. But her act was cracking. Someone played farm animal noises through a speaker, turning her speech into a circus. James calmly presented my deeds, exposing her rule as illegal. Then I played a video of Victoria ripping at my sign, cursing like a sailor. The room froze. Eleanor stood up, voice steady, and asked, "Where's our money, Victoria?" The question hung like a guillotine. The real bomb dropped at the next meeting. Eleanor had recorded Victoria months earlier, whispering to Marcus about devaluing my land to buy it cheap and flip it for millions. I played the audio for a packed room. 10 seconds in, you could hear a pin drop. By 30, people were shouting. Victoria's face went ghost white as her own voice laid out the scam. She stammered it was fake, but no one bought it. The crowd turned on her, chanting for her resignation. Her allies bailed, and the police showed up to ask about fraud. We tore down her HOA sign in the parking lot, pieces flying like confetti. It felt like the 4th of July. Eleanor became HOA president, promising open books and no more land grabs. I spent a weekend ripping out Victoria's signs, smoothing my lawn, and setting up my dad's old oak bench by the lake. That bench, hand-carved by him, was my Ancora reminder of his lessons about standing tall. The neighborhood planted a maple by my fence, calling it the Freedom Tree. Kids play there now, and folks who once shunned me stop by to apologize. Property values climbed, and realtors brag about our honest HOA. My new sign, carved from cedar, reads, "This land stands free, taken once, never again." It's become a local legend, with people snapping photos like it's a monument. Victoria's gone, facing charges and a ruined name. I got my land back, but more than that, I helped free Willow Creek from a tyrant. Every morning, I walk my property, coffee in hand, watching the lake sparkle. The fight was worth it, not just for me, but for everyone who calls this place home. So what do you think? Was I right to build that fence, or should I have shared my land for community spirit? Could you stand up to a bully like Victoria, or would you play nice to keep the peace? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories of real people fighting for what's theirs. Let's hear your take if things are about to get heated.